Hi, everyone. Welcome to What's New in Infinity 24.2 for the platform. I'm Stephanie Hawkins, Senior Product Marketing Manager here at Pega, and I am joined today by Drew Piekarski, Vice President of Product Management for Platform. Drew, thanks so much for joining me today.
Great, Stephanie. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so in this video, we're going to cover all that's new and exciting in 24.2. But before we do that, I kind of wanted to back up a little and talk about the bigger picture and how this release builds on all the progress we've made up to this point. So we know this has been a really busy couple of years for the platform. We introduced Pega Gen AI to the market with our Infinity 23 release, and this year with Infinity 24.1, we're introducing Blueprint to the world, which has obviously been a really exciting development. But 24.1 was really about doing more and unlocking potential so you can focus on the outcomes that'll have the most transformative impact on your business. And what we're really excited about in 24.2 are these enhancements that build on that are all about, helping our clients innovate faster and increase productivity across the enterprise. So with that, I'd like to move into the focus of this video, which is to dive into some of those new features in Infinity 24.2. So Drew, what I'd like to do is introduce some of the key features that we want people to know about. And then I'll hand the mic over to you to kind of dive into the details about what each feature can do and what the benefits are for our customers. Does that sound good?
Sounds awesome.
Okay. So at Pega, one of our goals is to help our clients move from idea to implementation as quickly as possible. Because when it comes to implementation, it's really easy to kind of have an idea, but a lot harder to turn that idea into a working app. And to that end, we've released a number of enhancements to help that process along, to really help our clients take that idea, turn it into a fully functional AI-powered workflow application. And obviously, the first part of that process is the app design process, which, as most people know, can often be kind of painful and drawn out. And that's really where Blueprint comes in and where Blueprint shines. And since our last release, we've made a number of enhancements to Blueprint, specifically around things like streaming data and integrations. Are you able to talk about some of those kind of updates we've made?
Yeah, absolutely. So 2024 is the birth of Blueprint and accelerating application development. And we've been adding to Blueprint, as you know, it's a SaaS offering, on Pega.com every week, and a lot of major things that have come into it, continuously over the last few months. One of the things that I really like is we're talking about, modernizing applications and people that have a lot of legacy documentation assets that they can help in that process. So a few of the tactical things that we really made, accelerating this development process possible, we now have the ability to import BPMN notation to accelerate your workflow and your case types. So you can take and leverage those assets that you've already have, that you already invested in, and really help accelerate it into your Blueprint. We know that our customers have common integrations, and so we have the ability to import, Swagger documentation or open API specs to accelerate, what are the data types that they work with, what are the properties or fields that exist within those data types, and what are the systems of integration that they're now going to connect to. So as we take Blueprint and actually go import it, we can actually accelerate that development, accelerate those connectivity to these systems of record. And there's a lot of other things that have continuously happened in Blueprint that I don't, want to miss out. Live preview, the ability to see your application running instantaneously, see it with your branding and theming, see it with your logos, see it on your website. There's some amazing things that really help people understand what they're about to go get, as they go build this new application, these new workflows, and really showing the power of that center out methodology. It's really quite amazing.
That's great, Drew. There have been so many exciting updates to Blueprint. I know it's like on a weekly basis. It's hard to keep up with everything that's coming out. So I definitely encourage people to get in there and see what's new, because I guarantee there's something new since the last time you logged in. So going back to this sort of, app design and development process, the next step in that process is obviously, App Studio. And to that end, we really worked to make that process easier, right, and more effective. And one of the ways we're doing that, which I was really excited to hear, is with what we're calling the Blueprint checklist. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, absolutely. So you just spent a bunch of time investing in your ideas, putting them into the Blueprint. Now what do? Well, you go import them into Infinity, into App Studio. And as part of that import process, one, Pega handles a lot of the generation. Really, we lay that foundation, those major case types, data types, personas. We generate a lot for you. But some things require a little bit more detail, things that we haven't captured, maybe some business logic, maybe, some authentication profiles to connect to your system. So what we've decided to do is we're actually going to build you a checklist on import based on the actual data in your blueprint of the next steps you should go take to get that app up and running and into production as soon as possible. So we leveraged the Agile Workbench capabilities that we've had in the platform for a lot of things. So we generate these user stories. They have clear acceptance criteria, descriptions. They even try to give you the step-by-step process to complete those tasks. And if you pretty much have a out-of-the-box project or backlog ready to go right after your blueprint import, so you can really hit the ground running. And again, accelerating that ideation phase with blueprint and now getting all the way to production. We know that takes a couple more steps, and we're trying to guide you with these checklists on how to get there.
I love that. And I always love a good checklist to keep you organized. So we're talking about, being organized as you move into this development phase. But I feel like one place where people really get hung up is with collaboration, whether it's business and IT collaboration or collaboration amongst developers. And I know we've got a few things in the works that we're releasing now to make that a little easier. Can you talk a little bit about what those are?
Yes, absolutely. So App Studio, and the developers that are in there need to collaborate to really achieve that outcome, to get that application out in production. And to be honest, we had some times where, it was really hard for multiple people to work on it, hard to communicate, hard to see what they were doing. So we've introduced a couple concepts that I think is worth talking about. One is the private workspace. This is having the ability as an individual user in App Studio to check out the rules or check out the things that I need to work on without disrupting, people on my team. So I can do branch development in a very easy way now in App Studio. I can see the list of changes that I've made. We're not hiding any of the changes that the system is making under the hood. We're now presenting them in a nice unified list through the private workspace. So again, better visibility, rule tracking, and allowing more people to collaborate on the development of an application, a workflow, or whatever it might be. And then the next piece is, we introduced the reuse library, a few releases back. We made a lot of enhancements to that too, because we know how important it is for someone to build a reusable asset, make it available into App Studio so it can be leveraged as part of the building process. So now we have, maybe another half dozen or dozen more rule types available in the library. You can actually create new instances of rules in the library and select what layer of the application, what layer of reuse that rule belongs in. And it really, again, is trying to make sure that, one, people working on the application are efficient. We get the layer cake and the value of reuse. And, again, focus on accelerating that completion of the application as soon as possible.
So I want to switch gears a little towards another area where we're really focused beyond accelerating app development. And that's focusing on helping our clients' employees be more productive, or as we like to say, make every employee your best employee, right? And so we've poured a lot of energy into that in this release, a number of enhancements around sort of minimizing manual tasks and optimizing employee performance with AI. And kind of the first area where we did that was with Coach, which we released in 24.1. But we've made a number of enhancements to Coach, right? Are those something that you can talk about here?
Yeah. So again, Coach was introduced in 24.1. And again, it was very much of that foundational layer. It was our first steps into more agentic processing. Again, having, that step towards the autonomous enterprise. And in 24.2, yeah, Coach was enhanced in many ways. One, we re-looked at the whole user experience, making it, very chat centric, making it easy to be added to not only on individual case types and the case pages, but also on landing pages and other, parts of your application. So you can coach with, large sets of data or coach on an individual case. We made sure that the conversation was continuously threaded. So what does that mean? That as you added new questions in and the coach came back with responses, it knew of existing answers. So you could say like, oh, given your, last message, what would you suggest next? And you would understand the full context of the conversation and also all the data and actions available on the coach. And then lastly, we really said there are often common questions that we want all employees to have at their fingertips. So why not give some suggested questions as they're working with coach? So they don't have to kind of think of the right way to ask a question or the right things to ask. They're actually getting prompted and guided to ask the right questions. Therefore, the coach is giving the right advice, the right feedback, the right next steps to really take. So again, taking coach to that next level of agentic processing, autonomous enterprise, and really making, like you said, every employee your best employee.
And so on that topic of sort of Gen AI, right? We got Gen AI Coach, and I know we've also made some changes to the Gen AI Connect rule.
Yes, yeah. So, the Gen AI Connect rule, foundation to all of the Gen AI capabilities in our platform. We leverage it for all of our development experiences. It's leveraged behind coach. And we also make sure that our customers can be able to leverage it for their own use cases. So we had a lot of feedback when it came to what the Connect rule can do. A few of the things that we've added, and one of the things I'm most excited about, is you can now select different providers and models in the Connect rule for each of your use cases. If there's a better provider or a different model that might give a better response, you can actually set that now in the Connect rule. You can also do things like overriding the system instructions for a particular use case. You can change temperature. We've really made it so that as our customers leverage this for their use cases, they have that full flexibility of what all the AI providers are really offering, and do so in a model-driven, controlled way that the Connect rule allows. So yeah, the Connect rule has a lot of enhancements to it, and I'm sure there'll be more to come.
That's great. And why would you want to choose one Gen AI provider over another?
Yeah, it really comes down to the use case. As I know I do a lot of prompt engineering myself, and trying to find, hey, if I ask a question this way or against this model, I get different results. And even sometimes there's different performance enhancements, quality of the results. So it really depends on that. Also, we want to make sure that we're leveraging all the different providers out there, because they all offer different aspects of capability. So again, getting down to the use case, what outcome you're trying to achieve, we want to make sure that you have the best available large language models at your fingertips that you can embed directly into your Pega applications to make sure you're putting the best product out there yourself.
Great. And I know another aspect of, improving employee productivity is in sort of the process optimization arena. So Pega Process Mining is our process optimization solution that really helps you identify where you've got slowdowns or reworks or, bottlenecks in your processes. Very powerful tool, really helps you make impactful changes to your workflows. And in this release, we've made it easier for employees to use Pega Process Mining with the Gen AI powered Pega Process Mining Assistant. So can you talk a little bit about how that came about and what it can do?
Yeah, well, one, Process Mining does amazing things, really giving you observability, visibility into, what is going right and potentially what's more likely going maybe wrong in your business processes. And now that Gen AI Assistant can actually analyze, look through, and, interpret, data that maybe might take a human a little bit longer time, or even maybe doesn't have the skill set to do. You can actually leverage that professional process intelligent, process mining assistant to ask it questions, and it comes back with the answers. It can even guide you in the next steps. So really some amazing things that we've done in the process mining. We enhance the whole user experience around it. So again, it becomes more end user friendly to let people get in there and kind of see what's going on in their processes. And then lastly, one of the things I like, and getting back to the blueprint, is we've now had the ability to take your process mining and import it into a blueprint to help fix the bottlenecks that you have, identify the better process that might be implemented, and do so leveraging the blueprint capability, and obviously, accelerating that into the full app development as well. So amazing things we've done in the process mining world as well that, everyone should go out and can get their hands on.
That is very cool. So you can take your process mining back, where you've identified all these issues and slowdowns and problems with your processes, put it into Blueprint, and then leverage all of that Gen AI powered industry best practice information to just optimize that initial process.
Exactly. And you have that Gen AI assistant right there to ask questions, to help identify, what you should do next. So yeah, really powerful stuff.
I love that. That's great. So I want to loop back to one more theme, which is that theme of speed, because we're really, really focused on helping, everybody transform faster, accelerate development. And one of our strengths at Pega is our ability to enable those faster outcomes. So in 24.2, we've really focused on enabling those faster outcomes via kind of a modernized UX framework that's really been purpose built for productivity and usability across all of our different channels. So can you talk a little bit about what we've done in that area?
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously one of the biggest things is Constellation. I'm sure everyone has heard about it. That is our best foot forward in the amazing productivity, best UX, best in class, to really help every worker become the best worker as well. So I mean, I can't even list all the enhancements that we've done in Constellation. Everything from the ability to work better with attachments, different search and select patterns, performance, accessibility, all those basic things that we know all of our customers need. It really has become, an amazing path forward. And honestly, it's been adopted in so many customers already that we're getting that great feedback and continuous feedback that we're adding to. Even so, we've done it so with most of our industry apps. We are now putting out versions of Constellation UX into many of our applications, whether it's customer service or in other areas of our offerings. The Constellation is really being pushed out in others. We know that Constellation is really built around that center out experience, right? The ability to, have a back office worker experience, the ability to use the DX API for self-service experiences. So we added a lot of capabilities around our SDKs in other channels. One of those near and dear to my heart is mobile, being able to actually run a native mobile app on the Constellation framework, putting that, that best employee out on the road now and not behind a desktop. So some amazing things we've done there. And lastly, we've had some tactical improvements around theming, making sure that the look and feel and the branding of the application, feels like our customers, brands and really a great step forward in the overall look and feel of the Constellation UX across all channels.
That's great. So, lots of great information here, lots of exciting things going on in the platform. Thanks so much, Drew, for being here. And I really recommend everybody feel free to just check out our deep dive videos because we go into a lot more detail in all of these different areas we covered today. And have fun exploring all that's new in 24.2. Thanks for watching.